Welcome, everybody. I'm Michelle Bonarigo. I chair the Women's Information Network, and it's so nice to have some smiling faces here joining us for our February presentation. We're going to sit back and relax for the next 45 minutes and listen to Gloria tell us about the immune system, which is always very interesting. So at this point, I'd like to introduce her. Gloria has always had a passion for healing others. She graduated with an associate degree in nursing and worked as a registered nurse for over 14 years in many aspects of the field. Sadly, she lost her vision early in high school and never really fully regained it until she came across acupuncture. It was this wonderful ancient medicine that not only assisted her in regaining her physical sight, but gave her a deeper insight in healing others. She holds a master's degree in acupuncture and Oriental medicine, graduating from Dragon Rise's School of Oriental Medicine. Gloria was able to study the world-renowned pulse system, as well as contemporary aspects associated with Chinese medicine. And once she became NCCAOM, you can tell us what those stands for, Gloria, certified, she was able to open a practice in Florida, becoming simply the best acupuncturist in her first year. She then continued her journey, moving to Virginia and started working with the military veterans, having success with treating numerous disorders with magnetic therapy. But she felt like she needed to do more. So she decided to travel once more and once again, this time to Johnstown, to open a practice here. Or again, Gloria. She did this because Johnstown was voted the unhealthiest city in Pennsylvania, which I'm sure makes us all a little bit sad. And Gloria believes in this area and she knows she can make people healthy and happy once again. She also has a wonderful daughter that she enjoys spending time with when she isn't healing others. So please help me welcome Gloria Cominsky.
Great, thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? I have to go off of my phone because I'm having troubles with my computer. Can you guys hear me?
Hear you great.
Yep. Okay, good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm usually like a kinesthetic learner. So that means like I like to be up in front of the crowd. So I'm gonna do my best to do this virtual. Of course, we're gonna talk about the immune system. You're gonna find some very unique, a lot of information that you might already know and a lot you don't know. So feel free to interject and ask any questions in between this. So the first thing I like to start off with is the majority of people that come and see me, 90% of them are not on a pre-probiotic. So what that means is if you're not on a pre-probiotic, that the other vitamin supplements that you're taking in along with food, your body's not going to absorb that no matter what you do. So I start my clients off on something called Total Leaky Gut, and it is amazing. It really does restore that normal flora within the body. As you know, the spleen and the stomach contains about 70% of the immune system. I mean, that's huge. It also makes blood. I think a lot of people don't know that.
Because we have low attendance, can you sign on?
Yeah. What's that? Can you guys still hear me?
Ask everybody to mute. Well, she's doing her presentation. I think it was just a little bit of background noise.
Oh, sorry. I just didn't want to miss anyone. Okay.
That's okay.
So the stomach is a melting pot. And what that means is a lot of people, they end up using their energy for overthinking. The mind is actually connected to the gut. So a lot of people that overthink actually end up burning out their spleen and stomach energy. You can find if you're burning out your spleen and stomach energy, if you end up touching your abdomen and if it's cold, that means the energetics in your stomach is so low. And there's ways I'm going to show you how to rebuild that. First, I'm going to do an overview of what affects the gut, and then I'm going to talk about vitamin D3 deficiency. I'm seeing that so common in this area, and we'll get a little bit into that a little later. So what happens when the food can't move in the stomach? It becomes fermented. When the food becomes fermented, energy starts to build up, and actually heat creates heat. This can also cause someone to overeat. Heat will definitely cause you to have those cravings and to want to eat more. There's ways that we can clear the heat and move the heat as well. Also, our bodies are constantly in fight or flight. So that's another thing that affects our spleen energy, as well as EMF exposure. EMF exposure is so huge. When people come in and they see me and I actually sit down and I do their pulse, it is so prevalent in the pulse that it's actually taking over a lot of the organs. There's certain ways that you can prevent EMF exposure, just like when you're at your computer or on your phone. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of black tourmaline. Tourmaline is great for helping to decrease EMF exposure. And in return, your body, your cells, your mind is not going to end up absorbing that. So we talked about obviously overthinking. The other thing is overeating. So if we're eating every hour, you want to be eating every 4 hours. If you're constantly using that spleen energy, it's still going to deplete your immune system with that. So the other things would be gluten intolerance. You could have as far as lactose intolerance, because people can't break down those enzymes. People don't realize what it does to the arteries, what it does to the vessels when you eat a lot of cheese, when you do a lot of dairy, and things like that. Also, the blue dyes. This is something that over in Europe, they ended up banning a lot of these processed foods, a lot of these dyes. But obviously in the United States, they are still producing these dyes. They are still producing this processed food. It is actually foreign to our body. Our body does not know how to handle this. Something like artificial sweetener. People don't realize that can stay in your system for upwards of 6 months. I mean, that's pretty intense when you're talking about sweetener that people are using on a daily basis, and this is staying in their system. The other thing is parasites. I see people come in with a lot of parasites that need to be cleared out. Also candida, which is rapid overgrowth of yeast. These will both affect memory issues. And this comes to the point where I'm going to touch on. So if you don't have that pre-probiotic, and we talked about you can't absorb anything, this is why we cannot fight off these animal viruses. It is imperative that, like I said, a person is on a pre-probiotic because they're not able to fight off these viruses that are coming in. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of Regeneron. That is actually a great antibody that is taking the place of a lot of these vaccines. So as far as the vaccine, it's an active immunity. They're still doing the research on these vaccines, but the Regeneron, it is actually an antibody. So it is passive immunity. It is actually decreasing the viral load. So if you or a loved one is in contact with COVID, they end up getting COVID, the Regeneron I would end up looking into to obviously decrease this viral load. Okay, so let's talk about the other thing I wanted to touch on. I know it's indirectly related to the immune system, but homocysteine. Homocysteine is another protein that your body produces. This is something you don't want large amounts in your vessels. This is what actually causes the vessels to be occluded. This is what causes blood pressure. When I see individuals come into my practice with high levels of homocysteine, I put them on homocysteine redux. I've had people with blood pressures like 180 over 90, 200 over 100. They're not on any blood pressure medications. Once they get this homocysteine redux, it actually lowers their blood pressure with everything. So now I'm going to get to some of the foods that we can do that are going to help. So when I break this down, I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about other foods as well. But when someone comes in and like I said, I read their pulse, I can tell what's going on with their lungs, what's emotions, their spleen and stomach. I can tell their heart, how's their heart doing. Not only do they get that, but they get information on whether they're yin deficient, qi deficient, which qi is their life force vitality. And based off of that, we put them on a certain diet. Like these foods will help with yin deficiency. These foods will help with spleen deficiency. So that's actually another tool that we use when the client comes in. We have them on a specialized diet depending on what's showing up in the pulse. So there are some good things that you can do. The first, I don't know if anyone's heard about congee. Congee is amazing. I'm trying to pick foods in this area that, first of all, they're inexpensive. And second of all, we are actually limited with what we have in this area for food sources. So the congee is actually something called porridge rice. You're going to put rice, a couple cups of rice in. Sometimes I make a smaller version. I do 1 full cup of rice or sometimes 2. And you're going to put 8 to 10 cups of water. What this does is the rice, when we used to boil our rice, you're taking out all the good nutrients in that rice. The problem with that is the nutrients that we throw out in the water when we boil it, that's actually what we need. The congee in the crock pot, you're going to put this all in a crock pot. It actually breaks down the cell walls within that rice, and your body's able to digest that better. They use this over in China for a lot of infants that have a weak spleen and stomach. I use this. I make congee recipes all the time. I'm actually going to have congee recipes starting on my website. So the congee is a very good thing. If you could do that with the crock pot, you do the rice, you do the water, and congee spelled Congee. If you want to go ahead and look that up. What else is great is scallions. People don't know the benefit of scallions. So let's just say, and I'm going to give you some signs and symptoms of, say if you feel like you're coming down with something. Some of the signs and symptoms that you can get with that is you get muscle aches in the back of the area. They call this Wingate. That means that you're getting an invasion of a virus. Obviously, you get the onset of fever and chills. You're going to feel your stomach again. If your stomach is cold, that's another indicator of, you could possibly be coming down with something. What I do, obviously the congee is great for this as well, but we need to release that exterior. We need to release that when cold. And there's a couple ways that you can do this. The first one is if people come in, I could feel their pulse and I can feel like, okay, they're coming down with something, that we're going to stay away from acupuncture, and then you want to stay away from massage because you could pull that pathogen in deeper. What I do is when they come in and if their pulse is showing like they're coming down with something, I do something called gua sha. Gua sha is like a scraping technique and it releases the exterior. So it opens up the channels and it gets that wind cold out of there. You can also, like getting back to the scallions are so good. Obviously you could put them in your congee. You could put other vegetables in your congee as well. But the scallions really make a person sweat. They release that exterior. And that's what we want to do. We want to make that person sweat so we can get the virus out of there. There are some other things that you can do as well. Ginger tea, you can get the fresh ginger at the store and you can make your own ginger tea with that. And I know a lot of people don't know this version of it, but ginger is great in baths. So if you give yourself a ginger bath when you're feeling achy, coming down with something, just, a whole ginger, you just slice that up, put it in the warm water, soak for a little bit. Then you want to put a couple layers of clothes on yourself and wrap yourself up in a blanket. What we're trying to promote again is sweating. We need to release that virus. We don't want that virus to stay in and go deeper into the system and cause way more problems with that. Okay. So the other thing which I see a lot of is ice. People use so much ice in their drinks. In the winter, if you could stay away from ice, it would really benefit your spleen and stomach. I know we go to the restaurants and they always have ice. They always have, the drinks coming in. They're already prepared with ice. So just ask for no ice. The other thing is we talked about the ginger tea. I like a lot of the echinacea teas. Those are great. I like a lot of the elderberry as well. And then, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to talk to you guys something that's even better than the elderberry, better than the echinacea, and actually better than the ginseng. This is like a big game changer for actually my practice. And then I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later with actually medicinal mushrooms with that. The other thing is, I know we talked about the EMF exposure with the black tourmaline and stuff. We're going to be looking out for that. I feel like also people with exercise, they want to just stay on the treadmill. They want to just stay on their elliptical machines. And this is great with some cardio, but we need to get those weights in. It's so important for your spleen and stomach. It's so important for your immune system to do the lower weights, more reps of that. Obviously to move your chi, to get things going, because, with the cold and stuff, you can't really be doing too much of outside stuff. Okay. So we're going to get to water. I know a lot of people, they are adamant when they come and see me, I drink 10 to 12 glasses of water a day. Okay. In winter, you don't want to be drinking that much. First of all, you're not sweating. Second of all, people don't realize how that really taxes your kidneys. You want to drink when you're thirsty. Most of my elderly population, when they end up coming in, I say, you know what, drink about 6 glasses of water. And obviously if it's it's a little bit warmer, your body's going to be able to metabolize that a little bit better versus having all this ice and stuff in the system. So with that being said, you want to know where your water's coming from. A lot of these bottled waters, they're just tap water. You're not getting the nutrients that you need from water. I get my water from a source on top of the mountain. It comes directly from the spring. I go ahead and I take my 5 gallons up there and I fill everything up. People like Kangen water. That's also a very good source of water. Reverse osmosis is great as well. But even though people think, oh, water's so simple, your body can't absorb it. It's true. If you have all these extra chemicals in your water source, that's still going to be wreaking havoc on your body. So don't overdrink. Drink that warm fluid, keep that body hydrated, but not overhydrated. Because when I see people coming in, the people that are drinking 10, 11 glasses of water that are so proud of drinking that much water, they don't have a kidney pulse. They literally don't have any kidney energy. And then when you're trying to pull that energy, if your lungs get weak, if your heart gets weak, you don't have any reserves to pull that energy from. So we got that. The other thing, what I like is hibiscus tea. I think hibiscus tea, if you are blood deficient is amazing. You can get these at some of the grocery stores I'm seeing. I do more of the whole flower hibiscus tea. I have a little pitcher that has a colander in the center, and I could put my bulk herbs in the center of that colander, and then I go ahead and put the hot water in, and I get all the nutrients out of that whole flower. Now, with the hibiscus petals, you could get that from a couple suppliers online. I know I used to go to the Pioneer Co-op, and it's very inexpensive, these bulk herbs. I don't do any bulk herbs in this area just because people don't have the time to mix up all these herbs and to make all these teas. So I try to stay away from that segment of it. Okay. So we are going to actually, I'm going to get to the mushroom portion of it. This is amazing. So I have a couple of my supplier with all my herbs. I go out and I visit all the farms, whether what supplier I have. I have some out in Wisconsin. I have some down in Florida. But everything that I give a client, I've either tried myself or I go directly to the source, and I want to make sure everything's processed right. With these medicinal herbs that I'm going to talk about with the mushrooms, I have someone that has his own farm. He does everything from start to finish. So when he grows them, he dries them, he packages them. There are no fillers. These are the most potent mushrooms that you can get. This is a complete game changer. Out of everything I've researched, out of everything I've done, I've experienced this myself. It puts your body to a place that you never thought you could be. The first one I'm going to talk about is red reishi. These come in powders. So the powders you just obviously do with the warm water with this. The powders actually get into the system, and they're a little bit more bioavailability, so-called. But the red reishi, this has to do, they call this the longevity herb. This has to do with the connection of the heart and the kidneys. There's a huge disconnect from the heart and from the kidneys because of things like we talked about, the EMF exposure, the overthinking. I know a lot of people are not sleeping well at night. There's two things, and I could tell when a person comes in based on their pulse, if they're tired, and also with their tongue. If the tip of your tongue is really red, that means you have a lot of heat in your heart. If you have a lot of heat in your heart, you will not be able to sleep well. Or when you sleep, it might be hard to go to sleep, and then you awaken 4 to 5 hours, and that could be a little bit of blood stasis. So the reishi mushroom, the red reishi mushroom, is what I use with my clients. And you take this at night because it works on the heart. It calms the shen, which the shen is called the mind in Chinese medicine. And it really gets the client to get a little bit deeper sleep with that. This is the king herb of everything that you can take. What I also do is something called Midtran. So Midtran, and it's made by Standard Process. Everything I deal with whole foods. Like we talked about, I don't do the fillers. I don't do all the extra stuff. Midtran are minerals. The problem is why people can't sleep at night is because they have too much heat in their heart. And then also they're not grounded. They're not rooted. Minerals will take that person out of their head, and they will get that deep, deep REM sleep. Out of everything, that's the first thing along with the pre-probiotic, that's the first thing I evaluate is someone's sleep. I could be the best acupuncturist and I can help someone, but if they're not getting good sleep, we both know their body isn't healing at night. You're going to wake up not feeling rested. The second thing, which is great, this is called cordyceps. Cordyceps actually works on the lungs. It boosts the immune system. So I use this for a lot of my COPD patients. I have people that have been on BiPAPs, CPAPs, don't need it at night anymore. I have people that have been on inhalers for 5 years. For instance, I recently worked on an elderly lady that she was 89 years old. She was on 5 inhalers. Since she started on this, nothing, no inhalers. This not only helps with the lungs, it boosts the immune system, and it also helps with allergies as well. So the cordyceps, I use this more with my lung qi deficient clients. The other thing is, and I'm on this one myself, lion's mane. Within 3 days, you will notice a huge difference with being on lion's mane. Lion's mane not only helps with depression, anxiety, it is helping with Alzheimer's clients. What it does is it prevents the plaque from building up in the arteries. It's so important that, and especially with brain function, brain power, that you have to have that clear passage to the brain. So when the plaque is building up, you obviously aren't going to get the good connection that you need to get to. Within 3 days, this is something, out of everything I've tried in my life, lion's mane is absolutely, it will give you clarity. You won't feel like you're foggy brained. You won't feel like you just can't complete those tasks. It is one of my favorites that I go to, and I do that myself as well. It's also great for preventing ischemic strokes, because like I said, you're getting that good chi up to the brain and to that area with that. The only thing with the mushrooms is that you got to watch out is you can't be on Coumadin. There's a lot of things I have to watch with certain individuals, but if you're on any other blood thinners, like Eliquis or anything, no problem with that. You just can't be on Coumadin. So I'm going to talk about some foods that we can do that's really going to help boost the immune system. Of course, like we talked about, each person's going to be individualized when they come in. So I have to look at their pulse. I have to see what's going on. But for this area, I would say the fermented foods that you're able to get. I don't know if anyone heard of miso soup. Miso soup is really good. It definitely helps to release the exterior. It helps to build your spleen, stomach energy with that. Sauerkraut is great. Obviously cabbage is another good one. I know everyone sometimes is big on the kombucha. The problem with kombucha is in a lot of the stores, it has a lot of sugar in. So you have to watch the amount of sugar that you do with the kombucha. You could go ahead and make your own and have your own SCOBY. And a SCOBY is just the fungus that you use to make the kombucha. But to be honest with you, I've done it myself, that it gives a little bit of a stink off in the house. So you got to really watch that one. But kombucha is great, but you gotta see where it's sourced at from. Obviously, yogurt's good. But if you're the type of person that already has a very cold stomach that we talked about by filling your abdomen, you also know if you have a cold stomach by the amount of loose stools that you're having. You want to have a good 2 stools a day that are formed. If you're having a lot of loose stools, that means you're not only absorbing your food, but you're also not absorbing water with that. So we talked about, warming the stomach and doing that. And obviously the ginger you could do as well. The other foods that you can use, squash is very good for helping the spleen and the stomach. Barley actually clears a lot of dampness. So if you hold on to a lot of water, barley soup is actually something that would really help you to clear that out as well. Yams are good. Pumpkin. People don't realize how great pumpkin is for you. And of course, you got the warming spices. the ginger, the garlic, and the cinnamon with that. But like I said, each person's different. What might work for one person isn't necessarily going to work for somebody else. So we talked about the symptoms, like when you're first getting sick, with the onset of the fever and the chills. This is the time you need to act. So if you're getting those symptoms, like we talked about, the fever, the chills, and they could be alternating fever and chills, the cold stomach, the muscle aches up in the windgate area, and the back of the neck, you obviously just, you don't want to be putting anything else cold in your body. What I found amazing, and it is great, not only for adults, but for children, is something called Congaplex. Congaplex is another standard process whole food that I use. And I would say when everyone starts to come down with this, you take 3 of these tablets, and within the next day, you start to feel a lot better. You want to keep up with 3 of those tablets, sometimes even twice a day on the, the initial process of getting these cold symptoms. And that will also help to boost the immune system and release the exterior. What I'm going to talk about certain dosing of vitamins. And I know you probably have done your own research with stuff. So obviously we have the water soluble vitamins, the B's, the C's. So you're not going to be doing too much harm if you put some extra in, because obviously you're going to urinate it out. The other ones, the A, D, E, and K's, the fat solubles, that is the vitamin D. There is a lot that people don't know with the vitamin D. So let's get to the vitamin C. Everyone's always pushing so much vitamin C, this, vitamin C, that. It's great, vitamin C, but people take too much of it. I recommend anywhere from 500 to 1,000, depending on, like I said, your constitution, depending on some other stuff, daily with that. The problem with that is if you take too much, you're going to have GI upset with that. And then you're not even going to absorb, what you're taking in. The other thing is zinc. 25 to 50 milligrams of zinc is good as well. But the real kicker that nobody knows, and it's foreign to a lot of people, especially I've noticed in this area when I came back, is vitamin D3. People do not realize if you do not have that vitamin D3, and I'm going to explain to you, regular vitamin D3 will not do anything for you. And I'm going to say that again. Regular vitamin D3 will not do anything for you. It might boost your levels a little bit. And don't get me wrong, when they put someone on a higher dose of level, like 50,000 units a week, you might get a little bit of that optimum level. I'm seeing people coming in with depression, anxiety, and osteoporosis. There is a link between this and vitamin D3. So the problem is when people come in, obviously I don't do any blood tests. I get them set up. They go to their primary doctor, they get their levels. The optimum level is between 50 and 100. The majority of the clients that are coming in are 9. So obviously in this area, we're not getting a lot of sun. We're not seeing a lot of sun. But the real kicker is you need to take the vitamin D3 with K2. You have to take the vitamin D3 with K2. And I will tell you why. So the K2, so what happens if you take regular vitamin D3? This doesn't happen to everyone, but it happens to quite a few. It causes calcification within the arteries. What that means is it's a lot of hardening of the arteries. We want to push that calcium actually into the bones. This calcium, and when we sometimes check people's levels, they might have higher levels, but it's in the bloodstream. It's not in the bone. So it's causing a real problem. Hardening of the arteries is a real problem. So what the vitamin D3 with K2 does is it actually pushes the vitamin D3 into the bones. What's great about this is a lot of my clients that come, even when they just start on vitamin D3 with K2, their arthritis is going away. Their depression is going away. Their anxiety is going away. So it's so important that you go ahead and, like I said, D3, everyone talks about D3, but you got to make sure it has the K2 in. I think with this area, and obviously you have to get tested, but with this area, people are needing about 5,000 international units a day. That might seem like a lot, but if you break things down, we're really not getting nearly not that much sun, like other areas. So if you live above North Carolina and above, you got to really watch how much vitamin D3 you're getting with that. The reason why I'm so adamant about the D3 with K2 as well is because it's really helping the immune system. It's really boosting that immune system. It's a game changer. When I see people that come in with pain and all of a sudden they're on this, and I'm talking about severe chronic osteoporosis. I'm talking about severe depression where they're on a slew of antidepressants. They're like, I never knew my levels 5, 9. So the therapeutic is anywhere, like I said, between 50 and 100. You're going to see some of the research that was done. They say anywhere from 30 to 100, but you want to get a little higher like that. You want to be a little bit more therapeutic with everything. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is, I don't know if anyone's heard about, and you probably did, the circadian rhythm. So what that is, that's a 24-hour cycle. This has a lot to do with the acupuncture channels. What it means is, like, there's certain times when certain organs begin to heal. Like between 1 and 3 is the liver. And if you're not in a deep sleep at those certain times, certain organs will have a hard time healing. Of course, when you're up, you're going to be going through another circadian rhythm when you're up and about. But when you're sleeping, we talked about that deep REM sleep that I feel like a lot of people aren't getting. You have to get a deeper sleep so these channels can really heal internally. What people fail to realize is, not only do I promote a 12-hour fast, for instance, say if someone eats their last meal at 7 p.m., I don't want them to be munching in the evening and, putting more into their body. I want them after 7 p.m. not to eat anything again until 7 a.m. If you do this, not only if you're the type of person that's wanting to lose weight, will you lose weight, but then also your digestion will give a chance to rest. We talked about, like I said, that over processing. When we over process, the spleen and stomach gets the brunt of everything. So with that fast, it really helps the digestion to rest with everything. The other thing is, and I know a lot of people, and I do this myself, I have a problem with this. You need to go to bed before midnight. It's imperative. And the reason being is because your body doesn't understand that if you go to bed the same day you wake up, there's not going to be much healing involved with that. So I try to make it a point to go to bed like around 10, 11, give my body that chance to restart fresh. And this goes along with that circadian rhythm again, where you're not going to bed and you're not waking up the same day with everything. So that's really, really important. What I forgot to mention, getting back on the congee, parboiled rice is actually the best rice you can get. I know they had this up in Aldi's. And why I like the parboiled rice is the way it's extracted. You're not getting all those other toxins, so to speak, that's in the rice. So, and it's also very heart healthy. So if you can get a chance to get the parboiled rice when you're doing the congee, it's great. Brown rice is good, but I feel like the parboiled white rice actually makes a better congee with everything. I know some people use the jasmine rice as well, but I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware. The last time I checked, that was up Aldi's, you know, with that. Okay. So pain, people don't realize how much energy you give out when you're in pain. It can be emotional pain, it can be physical pain, but if you're not dealing with that pain, your body's wasting energy. I mean, it's not only you might be deficient before, but you're going to be more deficient when you're dealing with pain. So I actually came across something so amazing with these magnets. These magnets, and I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys can see them. They're so small. So they're so tiny, like they're literally. So this is a whole stack of them, and you take them apart. So that's a whole stack I have, but you could take each individual magnet apart. What's great about these magnets is you're not taking a sleeping pill to help you at night. Just go to sleep. I use the magnets to help people sleep. They're great for PTSD. They're great for calming the mind, and they're great for pain. So when I use the magnets, the hand is a microsystem of the body. The ears are a microsystem of the body. And what that means is there's certain points within this system that actually correspond to the body. So the middle finger actually has to do with the head of the body. The back of the hand, and it's the same thing with the middle finger, actually has to do with the spine of the body. When someone comes in and sees me, I give them the sheets that have the mapping of the entire hand, the front and the back. So it's easy for them to go on and treat themselves. So for instance, I've had people with severe abdominal pain. Obviously, I get everything else checked out. If I need to refer out, we make those adjustments as well. But I don't know if anyone's heard of PCOS. It's very, very painful. It's more painful when you're ovulating. It's brought people to the emergency room, numerous visits. So what I do for the clients with that is there's two ways you can treat with the pain. The first one is you can treat directly. And what that means is with this small, tiny magnet, and you can go ahead and stack them up as well. But with the small, tiny magnet, you tape that on anywhere in the body. So if you're having knee pain, I've had people that have knee pain for years. Obviously, we look at their vitamin D3 levels, and we look at some other issues. But the magnets, they take this home and they work on this themselves. So they're not always coming back to the practitioner. That's not my goal. I don't want people to keep on coming back because, you know, that's money. So with these, they take these with them. They can tape them directly to the area that they're having pain with. And even like migraines, when I tell you I haven't had treatment from anyone or acupuncture or anything for over 15 years, I use these. I treat my own headaches. I've had, you know, sleeping issues myself. I've had pain. And when you tape these directly to the area that's causing you pain, within 5 to 10, sometimes 15 minutes, you will get relief from this. Now, you might have to, you know, it's not an exact science. You might have to stack 2 or 3 up. But I show everybody when they come here, they have the option to use these as well. Then if you know, we treat directly with the pain. The other thing is we treat based on the hand. So like say if someone's having a headache, we're going to go ahead and put the magnet on top of the finger, depending where the headache is. So if you're having a frontal headache, that's related to the spleen and stomach. That means you are processing way too much. You are digesting. You're not giving your digestion a chance, you're not giving your spleen and stomach a chance to rest. The other thing is, if you have a headache on the sides, so we put each one on the side of the finger, this is related to liver. So if you have a headache on the sides of the head, that is related to the liver. What's great about the magnets is, like I said, you can end up controlling that yourself. We also know if you're having the sides of the headaches or the pressure on the sides, this could be a blood pressure issue. I also teach people how to get their blood pressure down, not only with the magnets, but something called bloodletting. It sounds a lot scarier than what it is, but it works. You can instantly relieve pressure within your head with that. The other thing is, if you have a headache in the back of the neck, that's more the bladder channel. And that's also related, the bladder is also related to those invasions that we were talking about with the wind cold that was coming in with that. Okay, now I know some people has heard of this next topic, sage. I know it's kind of a weird topic to talk about, but sage is so great. If you look this up, it kills 98% of viruses. This is no joke. It's a sage stick. And what you do is you light this, you go ahead and you burn this in the area that you want to sage. You want to make sure you're getting the corners and stuff really good. Sage is great for releasing those negative emotions. So what happens is, say if, you get in an argument with someone, or if you have someone over and, you might just have, you're not feeling them or they're not feeling you, and you have a disagreement or something, that vibrational energy will stay in that area. There's no way of releasing it. The only way of releasing it is if you end up saging that area. It is so important for your mental health and not to be reliving the same vibration, because this is what causes the depression. This is what causes the anxiety. If you can end up saging your place, like I said, not only does it remove 98% of the viruses, but it's also great for your mental health. We don't talk about our mental health enough. And especially with this COVID, and especially with the pandemic, how everyone's staying in a little bit more, conditions get a little tighter with everything. So sage is great. Now, if you're the type of person that doesn't like that much smoke, and I usually, with these sticks, they really don't produce that much. I use something as well called a halo stick. So it almost looks like bark. It looks like a little piece of bark. It smells amazing. This is something else that you can light, and you can go ahead and cleanse not only yourself, go around your area and cleanse yourself, but you can cleanse others, and you can also cleanse your space with that. Okay. And sage is just a dry herb that is put together. There's so many different types of sage. I do a lot of sage for abundance. And there's sage that you could do as well for even if you want to bring in money, there's sage for that. So it just depends what you're looking for with everything with that. The other thing I wanted to talk about are salt lamps. I don't know if anyone's heard of the Himalaya salt lamps. You got a lot of them out there. I have huge salt lamps. They are so great for releasing the negative ions. It's the same negative ions you get from going to the beach. So it's great not only for respiratory issues, but it's great to lift the mood. It's great for depression. So I have a lot of salt lamps, not only in my home, but then also obviously in the office, I use those as well. The only thing I just wanted to forewarn you guys, a lot of people don't know this, I do probably have the salt lamps. If you have any animals, you just want to make sure that you keep them away from the salt lamp, because if they go and lick those salt lamps, it does make them a little sick with everything. So I just wanted to make sure you were, careful with that. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about is NET, neuro-emotional technique. So when someone comes in and sees me, we talked about how I do the pulse system. What happens is, even if you go to any practitioner out there, if you have these blockages within the lungs, so for instance, I'll just give you a little overview. The heart is related to lack of joy. The lungs are related to grieving. The spleen and stomach is related to worry, overthinking, obsessions. I got a lot of OCD clients when they come in that they have no spleen and stomach energy. The kidneys are related to fear. The liver is related to resentment, anger, frustration. So I have people when they come in, and I'm very open. There's some people that don't want to deal with any emotions, and I'm fine with that. If they're not ready to deal with that, then we don't even go down that avenue. But when you get these emotions released, and this is why I got into it, because I had emotions myself that had to be released. It is amazing. It is a different level of treatment that you wouldn't even expect. You could have emotions back when you were 2, 3, 10 years old that present. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you can only process 3 emotions at a time. If your mind cannot process those 3 emotions, they get shoved down in the organs. When they get shoved down in the organs, that's what causes the pain. That's what causes the energy blocks. So what I do is I remove all blocks of treatment before I even start acupuncture or anything. We do that. And then obviously we do the acupuncture portion of it. But if you can go ahead and just look that up, you'll see the results with that. It's called NET, neuro-emotional technique with that one. Okay, so I didn't know if anyone had any questions or anything they wanted to comment on, or anything else they wanted for me to discuss, or.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was a great talk. Thank you so much. And a lot of the things that you talked about, we do here, like with the ginger, we're really big into that. My question was about the lion's mane.
Okay.
Is there like a limit that you can take in a day? Like, how do you know how much to use and things like that?
Okay, with the lion's mane, it's best, like, you know how some people are in such a hurry where they just want it all once in the morning and that's it.
Yeah.
If you're, you take a teaspoon in the morning, that's how potent it is,
Okay.
with warm water. But if you have the time, a half a teaspoon twice a day is more beneficial.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Mhm.
Gloria, I had a question about exercise.
Yes.
Because you were saying like it's important when you feel like you're coming down with something to kind of sweat it out. So should you exercise if you're starting to feel like you're coming down? My instinct is to always like say, I'm going to skip the gym because I don't feel good,
Yes. So I don't know if there's any men on here, but I'll just, if you have your cycle and if you're at the point where you're getting your menses, the Chinese medicine, when they're even saying when you're bleeding, don't sweat, and when you're sweating, don't bleed. So it's so imperative that you really listen to your body. If I feel like I'm coming down with something, I'll take it a little bit easier. Or what I'll do is if someone has access to an infrared sauna, I have an infrared sauna at my house. It is amazing. It really brings out those toxins, and it's a deeper type of sweat. So yeah, exactly. If you feel like you're coming down with something, do not push your body. We were always taught, let's push our body, let's do this, but you're exactly right. Be kind to your body with that.
Gloria, can you
Yes.
talk about the magnets again? What kind of magnets are they?
So these magnets, I have them especially for my business. They're so small. They operate on north and south polarization. So the north would be the dot that you put against the skin for pain, and then the flat surface would be the south. So what they do is they're actually pulling energy. I actually have 6 magnets on today. I woke up in pain and like, I wouldn't have been able to sit if I did not even put these magnets on. So what it does is it pulls the blockages down, and it just removes those blockages. And what's great about them is, you know if they're going to work within 10 to 15 minutes. I have people that come in with severe migraines. It's so frustrating when you don't want to take all that Motrin, all that Tylenol, and you just put these magnets on. I have people that still come in that are amazed, like, how are these even working? So what's great with when you use them for sleep or PTSD, you could put the flat side on the bottom of your feet. So with this being the bump right underneath that, right underneath the digits, you go ahead and just put the magnet, and it pulls all this energy from the head. It pulls it down through the kidneys. So in a sense, you're not wasting that energy. You're actually returning that energy back down to the kidneys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gloria, can you tell us what your website, the address of your website?
So it's qistrong.com. We had some glitches because for 2 weeks they put QI-strong. So they assure me everything's fixed with that. So it's qistrong.com. What I'm doing, because with this pandemic, I feel like I'm not reaching the people that really need to be reached, because I wanted to do more community acupuncture and everything. I'm doing segments on YouTube. Like one day will be like making kanji. Next day, I'll do a demonstration with the magnets, or I'll do a demonstration with Qigong, which is an exercise that allows the individual to build their chi. So everything I'm going to do on there is going to be free. And it's not going to be like someone has to go out and get all this expensive stuff. That's what I'm trying to teach people. If you're limited, that's not an excuse. You have the resources. You can go on here, you can research it. And like I said, that's going to be offered, and they could pull that up on YouTube whenever they need it.
Okay, and I'm assuming that you're available for like a virtual paid consultation if anybody wants to follow up with you.
Yeah, I do that as well. I actually have, I still have clients from Florida. So what I do is there's people that like, obviously I've been doing some consultations as well, virtual, but I can send the magnets out. Because I know there's still a lot of people that are a little weary with coming in, or we can, if we need to with certain individuals, we will package up some herbs and send those out as well, depending on what they're needing.
Okay, that's great. Any other questions for Gloria? Okay, that was a great presentation. We really appreciate it. We learned a lot. The great thing about this is this Zoom meeting was recorded and will be sent to all the participants. So I know you went through a lot of things and everybody was busy taking notes, and then they can take a look at it and look back in case they missed something. So thank you again. We really appreciate it. And that was very, very useful. So
great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Everybody have a good day.
You too. Okay, so our next,
Thanks so much.
Our next luncheon is going to be in March. Take a look at or keep an eye out for your email and the Tribune Democrat for the topic and the date. And we will hopefully see you all in March. Stay warm, and hopefully we won't get too much snow with the next storm that is going to be arriving on our doorstep in the next day or two. So thanks for attending.
Real quick before we go, I can't let Michelle go without wishing her a happy birthday. It's not today, but it is tomorrow. She is our esteemed leader and has been for a very long time and does a fantastic job with Win. So she's also very much not a center of attention kind of person. So we need to take little opportunities to celebrate her. So happy birthday, Michelle. And I'm sure I will be talking to you tomorrow, but just want to let everybody know.
So much. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I enjoy being part of the WIN family and the Chamber family. You guys are all awesome. And so are all of our attendees. And we appreciate you following us through this pandemic. And hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll be able to get back in touch with each other again in person. So cross fingers. We don't have any dates in mind, but that is our goal. So have a good afternoon, everybody.